What's going on, everybody? Wu Kim here with LynkMe Cards. Welcome to our LynkMe podcast. Today, our special guest is Ryan Schulze, and I'm super excited to have Ryan on this because I work with a lot of agents, right? Our clients are mainly agents, but Ryan has been one of the most consistent motherfucker when it comes to posting content on social media. So I'm super excited to learn his tactics, what is working, what's working for him, rather. And yeah, let's dive right in.
Thank
Ryan,
you,
welcome on.
mister. High praise. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Ryan, could you just give us a little introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do, and all that?
Yeah, so I am a realtor here in San Diego. I'm actually going to be moving to the Newport area here in like 12 days. So I'm fried in the brain right now trying to do all that. So I'll be working out of Orange County and San Diego County. But yeah, I think the reason that got me on this podcast, like Wu was saying, is I'm my biggest kind of resource for me is my social media. Um, I've been, you know, I've had the account going probably for 8 or 9 months, and probably for the past 3 or 4, I've been like actually using it how you should. Right now, I post twice a day on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So 5 places, 2 times a day, every day. The only time that I've missed in the past like 3 or 4 months has been on Christmas and Thanksgiving. I think I only did one post instead of two. So I can't say it's been every day, but it's definitely been um, very close to it.
Dude, I was just expecting a quick intro, but I guess we're diving right into
Yeah.
tactics here.
Straight to
So
the
yeah,
fact.
Ryan, how long have you been an agent?
So I've been licensed now over about a year. I've been full time probably around the 9 month mark now. So really like fully into it 9 months. And I feel like it's one of those things where for the first bit, you're like you're full time and you're working, but you're not working. You're more like trying to figure it out. So really for me, it's been pretty recent, probably around that same time, the 3 4 month mark, where I've been like really, doing the job that I think is going to get me to where I want to go. So that's been like my point where I always that kind of goes to like my new philosophy is focus over hard work. So for the past like 9 months, it's been, working 7 days a week all the time, but it was kind of like a million things all at once without focus. And for the past, like I said, 3 or 4 months, it's been very focused work on what I should be doing. And now starting to see the benefits from that.
Dude, I love that a lot because I mainly work with mature agents that's been in the game for like 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of them started their business knocking on doors, making calls, being in front of people in person. And now I see younger agents that are starting out like yourself, just absolutely crushing on social media. And so could you walk us through how you decided, or why rather, you decided to go all in on social media, or are you doing anything else on top of that?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, for me, it's definitely like I was saying, is focus of social media. That's everything. I still do open houses and work the sphere and stuff like that. But I think for me, it was a couple things. Is one, I'm very young, if you couldn't tell. So my sphere isn't buying houses, so it had to like I can't you know do much with that. And also, I grew up in Temecula, not San Diego, and I lived a little bit in Orange County, but I didn't have my roots there. So there's really, I came here and I had zero contacts that were like able to have any form of lead. Normally, you have like maybe 50 to 100 people if you're getting into it. At the median age, I think is 55 for a realtor. So, you have 50 to 100 people who or know of. I had none. Um, and for me, it's like the cold calling route and the door knocking route just wasn't necessarily for me. And, I started out with a lot of open houses and I was, you know, going like haphazardly on social media. But I think one of the main things, I think there's two main parts. There's like a funny why it started and two, why I'm like putting everything into it is the top agent in my office. Shout out to Kevin Hall. He's fantastic. Um, he, was kind of like leading a meeting for some of the newer agents. And he was saying how he doesn't have any social media, and he thinks it's a waste of time. And so right then and there, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this more than anyone else on earth. Not because I thought that he was saying is wrong, but it's like, okay, you have these guys who are in it for 30 years, right? They're not on there doing that. And that's just a realm that, you know, I think for me, and the crazy part now looking back is real, like the real is recently it started to blow up, but it's been a long time coming, like months and months of just like nothing. And now finally things are starting to accrue. And people who, had my best interest and had validity are like Ryan. Like all the top agents in my office, my mentor, like, dude, you're like focusing way too much on social media. Like it doesn't work. Because realistically, like no one's really like done it as their big thing, and at least like in our area. And I think for me is like I I have the luxury of looking at it long term because I am so young and so many agents, start when they're older. So their 20-year plan is, retire. My 20-year plan is I'll be in my 40s. Um,
Yeah.
so the way that I look at it is I'm like, okay, there's two like types of like killers. There's the agent who's just like cold calling every second of every day and he's doing numbers. Great. Me personally, I would hate my life if I did that. No offense to them, like they can do that, but that's just I wouldn't want to do this. And then there's the people who it's just coming to them. And that's what I wanted. And I think the number one, the taboo term for that is brand. And my goal is to be like at the top, that I mean, as everyone's should be, but for me, it's not like a if it's like this is what's going to occur, I'm going to make it occur type deal, very type
Mm,
A brain.
mm.
And I looked at it, I'm like, okay, so it's kind of funny. You would think in real estate there'd be like a number one agent, but like you can't really figure that stuff out because it's just kind of like too complex. But I looked at people, I'm like, okay, who's making millions of dollars a year doing this? It's Ryan Serhant and people on $1 million listing. I would never go on reality TV because that's just not me, right? So I think I realized that brand and personality is everything. You can work with any agent, right? They're going to get you the house. Obviously, you want to work with an agent who you think is going to save you the most money. But realistically, if you want to buy a house or sell your house, me or Joe Schmo is going to be able to do it for you, realistically. So people work with people who, you know, it's the know, like, and trust. So my thing is curating that brand with something that has to do with me. So that's why I've been going so hard on social media because it's something that I can do and portray who I am actually, not like a reality TV star. So something that I've been doing recently is more like not necessarily lifestyle YouTube videos, but kind of like covering behind the scenes of what I do. That way it builds my brand and it's people like, oh, I want to work with Ryan Schulze. Like I see his stuff all the time. And like you said too, with my consistency is that's my idea is like for people like if you follow me, you are not gonna not see my face every single second of every day. Like I guarantee you probably see me all the time. And that's just kind of the approach that I've been going, and that's why I'm getting so into social media is because I want to have that brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Dude, I have so many questions for you. I'm so excited.
Totally.
Okay. Okay. So I want to start with like the real estate side as a
Mhm.
new agent. And I want to also dive in deeper on social media, some of your tactics. So let's start at the top. Um, so you are a new agent. You said
Yes,
you've
sir.
been full time for about 9 months.
Yes.
What got you into real estate? Number one. How was your journey? Number two. And what are some of your biggest setbacks and regrets and problems and struggles? And yeah.
Totally. So number one was what got me in. Like everyone, it's a conglomerate of things. I think one of the big things is I grew up in construction with my dad building houses. My mom was a loan underwriter. And so my dad would take 2 years, not get paid, build a house, and then we'd sell it. It wasn't like any crazy thing, or else I wouldn't be working right now. But it's funny because most of the time they just broke even, which is kind of hilarious. But so I saw like real estate, I knew what it was. And it really was one of those things where like before I was an agent, what I would do for fun on weekends is go to La Jolla $10 million open houses. Like I just it's like the funny, like I love houses, but like I really do. Like I love, I love serving people and I love real estate. So it's like it really was just kind of stars aligning. And also to that is like it was one of those things where like I'd like talk about it and be like, oh, being a realtor would be weird. Like that'd be kind of fun. And then I just got tired of everyone in my life being like, you would be great at that. You should do it. So then it was one of those things where it wasn't like an epiphany. It was just I kind of looked up and I was like, oh, I'm like taking the real estate exam. Like it wasn't like this all of a sudden moment. It was like a stepping stone, stepping stone, a stepping stone. Okay, like I'll do the courses. Let's see. Oh, I'm taking my test. Oh, like I'm applying for it. And now it's like, oh, I'm quitting my restaurant job and I'm doing this full time. This like it was like you look back and you're like, that's crazy.
You
And
look
then the
back and you're
second,
all of a sudden a real estate agent.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. And you're like, why did I do this? Just joking, kind of. But time to get hard. And then the second question was refresh me. What are the setbacks? That was the second one.
So what made you start? And I honestly
I
forgot.
think
What
setbacks
made
was
you
one of them.
setback was like the third one. I'll get back to the second question.
No worries.
But yeah,
So we'll shoot for three now. Setbacks. I think realistically, number one is this. I look like a child. So I think, for most people, when you look at that, there's going to be an adverse reaction. And I mean, that's totally fair. And that's also part of why I do so much educational stuff specifically on social media, not to get into that too far right now, but is building that validity. Because one is I'm teaching people how to do it, right? So if I'm able to teach, it means I'm probably proficient at it. And two is I think it builds validity is because it's not only do I know it, but I'm also speaking it out to thousands of people every day. So it's like I can get criticism back. So I think it shows is like that adds that validity and that's really helped me get past it. In the beginning, if I meet someone at an open house and do a presentation or whatever, is when I didn't have that background, it was kind of like, okay, I'm taking your word for it. And now is like the way that I look at it is like I have more proof, like not, but like kind of like I'll piggyback off you said, so it doesn't sound like I'm, going crazy on myself. But I really don't think anyone, like at least in this country, who's in real estate is more consistent than me. Like I just realistic. Maybe there's someone like, and that's totally cool, but I've just have not seen that. So my thing is like you can't look at, hundreds of posts of so every single day you're gonna see that I'm inside of a home. So you know that I'm in the market, seeing more houses than pretty much every other real estate agent. Number two, every single day I'm teaching you how to buy a house. So it's like you can't look at that hundreds of times every single day and go, he doesn't know what he's doing. Right. So
mm,
I almost had to do that because of how I look. So I think that's been the biggest setback. And two is the same thing of this is every person who's been in it for 30 years is like, this is the hardest market. It's harder than 2008. It's just, it sucks. And that's like real, but not an excuse. But, when you're first getting into it, it's kind of funny is like all the top agents are like, yeah, I did 50% of what I did, the rest of my career. So to hear that and you're like, okay, I'm not bad at my job. But also you hear that and you're like, that's terrifying. So it's a conglomerate of that, my age, and also that I really don't know anyone. So I feel like it's also beneficial too, because I feel like most people, the first year or two, they do pretty good because everyone's like, oh my gosh, I know this guy, I'm gonna help him get real estate. And once all of your sphere buys up houses in that 1 to 2 years, after that, you're like, oh, I'm the man. I'm selling all these houses, but you never knew how to market yourself because it just came to you. And then it's year
mm,
three, and you're like,
mm.
what's going on? And I feel like that's what happens for most agents that I see, at least, who have that sphere and like have that not lucky, but maybe boosted first couple of years. So for me, it's like I'm like, nothing's gonna happen to me. Like I just gotta market myself right now, or else nothing's gonna happen. So that's definitely been my biggest setback for sure.
Got it. Got you. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The second question was, what was your journey like? Because you're 9 months in, like,
Yeah.
what's starting a new career as a real estate agent? What does that look like?
I mean, it's funny. I actually just made a YouTube video like 2 weeks talking about it. I'll be the first one to tell you, it's like incredibly difficult. Like whatever you said something, it was a clip from another one of your podcasts and I loved it. It's like if I could tell myself anything, is whatever, how hard you think it's going to be and how hard you need to work, do 20 times that. Like, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Is like, I thought working hard was the formula. And then you work hard and nothing happens and you're like, what's going on? Like, I'm working so hard. I'm working every second of every day, but you're doing things that don't matter because you don't have the wherewithal to know what matters. So it really
Mm-hmm.
was is like the way that I'm looking at it, I think this will paint a pretty clear image of what, these 9 months full time have been is and coming into this new year, really my new year is when I move just because it's insane. I move the 22nd. So from January 1st to the 22nd, I'm doing a million things. I'm not really able to kick it into full gear yet. But I'm looking at this year as year one and this past 9 months of learning. Because everyone tells you, I think that's the hardest thing about real estate is like normally when you go to job and it's a salary job, they go, do X, Y, Z and you get paid, right? In real
Yes.
estate, they're like, we'll find clients and like work your sphere. And you're like, okay, how? And they're like, well, I surf all the time and I go to church, so like I do that. And then another person goes, I do open houses every day. Another person goes, I do pickleball. So you're like, so what do I do? And they're like, well, you got to figure it out. And you're like, so you get in day one and you're like, what do I do? And they're like, I don't know. So it really is, it's just this insane, like, okay, I got to figure it out. So the way that I'm looking at it is like these 9 months is like, and it's always going to be ever changing and evolving. But as of right now, I know what works for me personally. And I think these 9 months have been leading up to that. So it's like now I know what I need to focus on and what works for me. And now this next year, I'm just going to hammer that and actually start to build my business. So I
Mm.
hope that kind of explains what the journey has been so far. Is it's you learn and then you earn, and I've been just learning, for this past 9 months.
Dude, I love what you just said, and that is, how do I get from A to B, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
I'm going to use an example of a school system, and I'm a huge proponent of education, but
Mhm.
I don't see school system, at least in the US, being super effective. And the reason for that is, I'll give you a little context. When I was in studying electrical engineering at Cal State Fullerton, I graduated with a 3.9 major GPA. So I loved school. Like
Great
school was
student.
yeah. But the problem with that was after I graduated and I started LynkMe cards as my first business, in school, they tell you, here's how you solve the problem, here's the specific problems you're going to get, use these formulas, plug them in, and you get an answer. And
Mhm.
there's only one answer in any single test. Like every single test that school gives you, there's only
Yeah.
one answer. And the reason for that is so that it's easier for this teacher to grade you, right? And so the
100%.
problem with that is in business in real life, especially in entrepreneurship, there isn't one right answer. And where
No.
everybody, like where students are so used to having given instructions on how to solve specific problems in a specific manner to get one answer. But in business, there is no one answer. There's millions of ways to solve it.
Mhm.
And so that's the one thing that I really struggled with once I graduated my college and started a business. It's like, okay, what do I do? And what's the answer I'm looking for? And there's no fucking answer.
The, to go a step further, it's you have a problem, and it's not that there's 100 solutions, it's there's none, because you have nothing. So it's like you just go this very long time trying to build one solution. But for the first part, like you probably have the same issues. Like there's just nothing. You can't think up like what to do.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. It's probably by far one of the most difficulty that I had when I first started out is that there wasn't like a clear path. X, Y,
Mhm.
Z steps I take, and by year or month six, I get this outcome. No, like
Yeah.
there is nothing like that. It's just,
And you're not getting paid.
and you're not getting paid, and you're working fucking hard. Like you're working 7 days a week, like you said, 12 hours a day, and
Yeah.
nothing's happening.
Yeah. So you're like,
Yeah.
is this worth
Yeah,
it?
but what I will say is that's where most people drop out. That's why
Yeah.
95% of businesses fail in their first year, right? Because
Yeah.
people see, okay, I gave it my all and nothing worked, and therefore it's not for me. And they drop out. But if you can go through that and you hit your second year, you hit your third year, it
Yeah.
really starts paying off. And only a certain percentage of people can see that because they have the dedication and discipline to go through, eat shit every single day, get kicked in the nuts every single day. And eventually you learn to like dodge the kick. So only your left nut gets kicked and you dodge
Yeah.
right, your right nut gets kicked. And you find ways to maneuver but in the end of by the end of the day, entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is the way it's the number one way to make the most money.
Oh,
That's why,
100%.
yeah, you just have to go through that initial hurdle, and once you're over that, like it pays you off like
Yeah.
crazy, not like nothing else.
I mean, Chris Williamson has I think he took it from someone else, so I can't directly quote them. But the saying is, it's like eating glass. You just start to like the taste of your own blood.
Mm,
And it really is that. And like for me, it's like I think it's a great analogy with like kind of like a wall. It's like you have this first wall and it's huge. You're never gonna stop hitting the walls, but they get a little bit smaller and you get a little bit bigger. So it's like is there's only a couple options. It's either you grow, it gets easier, or you quit. It's it's really just that. So it's that's the thing that's helped me, and it's not easy. And it, a lot of the times I fall short of it. But it's like when I hit that, like, okay, we're 8 months in, and no one's told me good job, and nothing's happened. That's that wall where instead of looking at that like nothing's happened for 8 months, if you just reframe it where it's like nothing's happened for 8 months, I've worked every single day, nothing's happened. This wall is going to stop 99% of people. If I just keep going without even really, you don't have a plan. Everyone says, I have a plan. You don't have a plan. You just keep going until you figure it out. But it really is like you said, it's just like you just find you keep getting kicked, but you find ways to block a little bit better. It's kind of a great way to put it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And eventually you build this armor around you that no matter what kicks you get, you can still walk and keep
Yeah.
walking. Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I love that. Hey, I would love to get into details of your social media campaigns, your tactics. Yes, yes. So, for a lot of people, I recently started posting a lot of content. I do about one to two a day, and you are one of the people that really inspired me to do
Oh,
so.
thank you,
So
brother.
I really appreciate your aspiration, admiration, all that. And my question to you is, I know I struggled with this myself, and I know a lot of other people also struggle with this, and that is, how do you come up with so many content ideas without repeating the same ones? I'm sure you thought of the same question.
Great question. Um, I think that that's not the issue. Is at least for me, and I would venture to say it works for everyone, is you have your core values, right? For LynkMe, it's like this works well for realtors because it goes into your CRM exactly and you get all of their information. That's like, I would assume that's your three pillars. It's great for realtors, goes into your CRM, it's a click of a button, it's easy. We set it up for you. That's your big three, right? So you can do that and then like a bunch of other stuff like, oh, I also like the way that it's designed. Like it looks, no one cares, right? And also, if you have this broad range of you're nothing. So for me, I don't think if anything, I focus the opposite. I focus on these are my pillars. So for me, is I do obviously it's 6 informational videos, and then the seventh one of that week is just a small clip from my long video that I do that's informational. All of those videos are pretty much the same thing. It's worded just a little bit different. It's going to talk about pre-approval because that's the first step. It's going to talk about realtors and why you need to work with them and how they save money. It's going to talk about inspections, why you need inspections. It's going to talk about first-time buyers because that's what I've kind of like niched down to. So it's going to talk directly to them. If you want to buy your first home in 2025, this is what you need to do. It's if anyone watching this, I just scroll through. It's all going to be you're going to look at it and it's going to seem different, but it's all the same thing. And it's I have my pillars. Is get pre-approved, work with a realtor, make sure that you are working with a realtor who's good, get your inspections done. Like it's really my goal with what I'm doing is to give the fundamentals for free. I make all these videos, I make no money. It's just for free. You don't have to work with me. And if you watch 5 minutes of my videos, you'll know how to buy a house. Why do I do that? One is it builds validity, but two is you can do that, be able to do it yourself, or you can look at it and go, this guy taught me how to do it. That means he must be proficient at it. So I'm going to work with him. It's like you give all of it for free. This is yours. Take it, right? Someone who's in their right mind is going to go, okay, like I have this, I got the basic knowledge. He gave it to me for free. Odds are he's going to really help me out when he's getting paid as well. So I think that for me is like short answer, no, I don't really change it up. I change, wording and maybe I'll change the hook and things of that nature. Like I've been doing now a lot of hooks of like if you want to buy a home in 2025 just because we're in the new year. But other than that, it's gonna be like pre-approval needs to be the first step. Or this is why pre-approval is the best first step. Things of that
Wow.
nature.
So it's different nuances, but same fundamental
Same
core value.
focus. Like it's the
Got it.
same thing
Got
as
it.
like if McDonald's was like, oh, we also do, fish fillets. It's like your burgers and fries. They hammer on burgers and fries. They have
Yeah.
other stuff too, but they're burgers and fries. That's what they're going. You've never seen them do, oh, this is our hash browns. Look at these hash browns. All their commercials are burgers and fries. But you go there, and there's fish fillet, there's hash browns, there's orange juice. They're never going to talk about orange juice. Talk about the things that matter, the biggest thing about you, and all the other stuff. They're going to figure it out as they go.
Dude, I'm learning a ton from you. Like I'm going to
Thank you, brother.
implement that immediately in my content. Just talk about the core values. It's okay to have different nuances, and from that you can make multiple videos. It's
Mm,
different, right?
mm.
And Brian, I was checking out your Instagram page, and you were getting on some of the videos that you were posting, you were getting like hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's amazing.
in realistically, there's two videos that I have that are over 100,000 views. But like realistically, like right now, a month I get anywhere between 150 to 200,000 views a month on just Instagram. So I would say like
That's
across
good.
platforms, every month I'm probably gonna pull in around like 300,000 views.
So every single month, 300,000 people watch your content across all platforms.
I mean, obviously sometimes it's gonna be similar people, but I'd say probably two-thirds of that. So 200,000 people a
Wow,
month.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That is
but I
amazing.
mean, also that's one thing that I want to switch up is as of right now is my face is only on half of that. And realistically, like my educational tips and tricks videos, they get probably a third of the views because just realistically, it's boring. Like no one cares unless you're ready to buy a house. You hear this is the first step of pre-approval. You're like, I don't, like, I'm not gonna watch this. You see a cool $1 million house in San Diego, you're gonna watch it. So my idea is have all of these people watch these videos and they follow me because they like looking at pretty houses. And then every day they're also seeing my face and saying, oh, this guy knows how to buy a house. Oh, okay. I guarantee most people who follow me don't even realize that this is the same account. And they're like, I don't know how I follow this guy. So, on the videos of like just my face, normally I'll get 1,500 to 2,000 views. Just like Instagram, it's more on the other stuff, but I don't really track that as much because Instagram's my main pull, and then the videos of the houses and whatnot, that on average can get, 4 to 6,000 views, but it's every single day. So that's why my monthly numbers are so high, even though a day it's really not that crazy. Uh, but yeah, so that kind of explains more of like the viewership. But that's what I was gonna say is I want to change now is um in the beginning of my house videos, do me in front of the house. If you've been looking for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath house under $1 million in San Diego, your search is over. And then go to that just because I think that's been missing in my videos because I was trying to like think of a way that can make it me because you can see that video and not know it's me.
Mhm.
But if I'm the first thing you see, the viewership might go down just because maybe someone doesn't want to see my face in front of the house. Um, but the people will see me. It'll be more people seeing me, maybe less people seeing my content, but I'd rather them see me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dude, how has it been already 33 minutes? That felt like 10 minutes. Time
No
flew.
way.
Yeah, dude, time
That's
flew.
crazy.
Yeah, dude. Okay, I still have more questions for you, so I'm gonna hammer you. Okay, so let's
We'll go
talk
rapid
about
fire.
results. Yeah, let's talk about results. You're getting like 200,000, 300,000 views per month across all your social media platforms. How are your like are people reaching out to you? Like how do they engage with you? Do they
Gotcha.
comment? Do they DM? Yeah.
No one's gonna reach out to you ever. Get that out of your mind. No one's gonna reach out to you. You have to reach out to them. Every person who likes one of my posts, I'm gonna follow them. When they follow me back, I'm gonna send them a DM. Every single person who follows me, I DM them the same script. Hey, it's something along the lines of, hey, I see you follow my account. Hope you like it. Saying it's about real estate. I assume you might be into real estate too. If you ever have any questions, reach out. Something along those lines. That's where the magic happens. Also stories too, because it's more interactive. And if they're like, I thought this house was going to be this much and it's only this much, I can be like, hey, isn't that interesting? But for
Mm.
me, it's direct reach out. No one's going to reach out to you. I have in there like to text or call me if you want to see this house, or it's like the first thing that I have on there, or to like to schedule a presentation. That's happened where they reached out directly to me 2 or 3 times. And like I said, I get hundreds of thousands of views. So it's like, unless you're like a top getting all the views on earth, that's gonna not do much. So it's just reach out to them. They're never gonna reach out to you. They don't care.
So let's just say somebody likes one of your content, you follow them and send them a direct message. When somebody comments, you just do the same thing, like follow
Same thing.
them,
If you
same
interact
thing.
with me whatsoever, I will follow you and reach out to
I think that's the key piece a lot of agents are missing
you.
because a
Hmm.
lot of agents like post like, "Oh, just sold, just listed," like the boring stuff. Yeah, that never works.
That
And
never
some of
works,
the
and it just seems pompous.
yeah, no one
Like
cares.
I'll give free game right now. This is the only thing that you need to take from this. What my plan is when I start, you know, selling a bunch of houses, no one cares that you made $50 million last year. If anything, they're gonna be like, this guy's arrogant. Instead of I did 10 million in sales last year. What I'm gonna do this because I'm giving it to everyone. I don't care. There's enough fish in the sea. Listen to this. I guarantee you, you're gonna make so much money. Last year, I saved my clients $200,000. On average, I saved each client $20,000. This is how I did it. Explain how you did it. Just sold. Okay. In escrow. Cool. There's a bunch of house. Like, I don't like what, because realistically, and as they should, what's in it for me? Like, okay, you sold a house. Cool. You made all this money. Good for you. Did you help your client at all? No one explains that. It takes 10 minutes, right? We do so much work. That's why so many people think that agents are overpaid because no one explains what they do. Say everything you did. I did all of these things. I saved my client $20,000. On average, I saved my clients $20,000. If you want to save $20,000, come work with me. If you don't, doesn't matter.
Wow, that's a big shift. That's wow, that was gold, dude. I've
Thank
never
you.
had an agent
Never
explain
seen
it that.
someone do that.
Yeah, I've never seen agents post, and I follow thousands of agents on our account.
Mhm.
I've never, ever, ever have seen agents explain, I saved X much for my clients. I did XYZ for my clients. It's
No.
always like, just sold. This is the house that I sold. Look how beautiful this house is.
Mhm.
That is amazing, dude. Thank
Yeah,
you. The golden
of
nugget.
course.
Yeah. The, you guys all heard that. Now, time to go. Like that was the whole podcast. Ryan, we have a few minutes left. So, how can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
Ryan Schultz Real Estate. Find me on anything. Google me, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. If you look up Ryan Schulze Real Estate, it's gonna pop up. You're gonna see my blonde hair and blue eyes wherever you go.
That's awesome, man. Brian, that was so much fun. Thanks you so much for having me on as a guest. Yeah,
Thank you,
let's
brother.
I know you're moving here soon. We'll connect and grab
For
lunch.
sure.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.